Number 12. This company's founder was inspired to create its most famous product due to a wound received in the Civil War, which caused an addiction to morphine. This company was sued by the U.S. government in 1911 for the caffeine used in its product, which had replaced its namesake stimulant in 1903. This company switched to high fructose corn syrup in the 1980s, except for its Cleveland bottling plant, which continues to use sugarcane. For 10 points, name this Atlanta-based company, which produces its namesake carbonated beverage, founded by John S. Pemberton in 1886. And the answer is the Coca-Cola Company, or Coke. Number 13. This American city was once described as hell with the lid off, and it was the site of the 1977 Renaissance II Cultural and Neighborhood Redevelopment Project. This city was the site of Fort Prince George and Fort Duquesne before it became the site of its namesake fort at the confluence of 3 separate rivers. This city boasts over 400 bridges, was the site of the Homestead Strike, and its Hill District is the setting on many of August Wilson's plays. For 10 points, name this American city located at the edge of the Allegheny Mountains, the second largest in Pennsylvania. And the answer is Pittsburgh. Number 14. The author of this poem once gave a copy of it to John Thompson in order to repay a $5 debt, and it is believed that the inspiration for this poem was an old South Carolina legend about the title figure getting yellow fever. The narrator of this poem says that nobody can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the title character. This poem includes the lines that the wind blew out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing the title figure. For 10 points, name this poem that often sees the title woman's name rhymed with the phrase, "In this kingdom by the sea," written by Edgar Allan Poe. And the answer is Annabel Lee. Number 15. This man had once been a plantation owner and called for enslaving Africans instead of Native Americans in the West Indies. This man later became a critic of slavery, describing how slaves, quote, suffered and died in the mines, unquote, among other atrocities. His testimony, a very brief account of the destruction of the Indies, was instrumental in changing the Spanish government policy towards the Native Americans. For 10 points, name this Spanish priest, known as the Protector of the Indians, who described the horrors of the Spanish conquest of the Americas. And the answer is Bartolomé de las Casas. Number 16. The upper portion of this bone connects with the acetabulum and is largely spherical, while the lower portion is largely cuboid in form. The main artery that runs through this bone is often used for catheterization, since it provides most of the blood supply for the lower limbs of the body. This bone is the only one in its region of the body, so it provides an attachment point for all of the muscle tissue located in the hip and knee joints. For 10 points, name this bone, the longest in the human body, which is located in the thigh. And the answer is the femur. Number 17. This author introduced his semi-autobiographical alter ego in the short story Indian Camp, in which he assists his father in performing a cesarean section with a pocket knife. This author and creator of Nick Adams described his fellow members of the Lost Generation in Paris in his first novel, The Sun Also Rises. as well as Robert Jordan's involvement in blowing up a bridge during the Spanish Civil War in For Whom the Bell Tolls. For 10 points, name this author who won the Pulitzer Prize and Nobel Prize for his 1952 short story, The Old Man and the Sea. And the answer is Ernest Hemingway. Number 18. This nation was once home to the metropolis of Meroe, which was located in the ancient empire of Kush. This non-Egyptian nation also had pyramids located along the Nile River, which splits this nation in half from east to west. The northern part of this nation embraced Islam, while the southern portion embraced the animist and Christian religions. That southern portion became the world's newest nation when it split from this nation in 2011. For 10 points, name this Eastern African nation once owned by Great Britain with capital at Khartoum. And the answer is the Republic of the Sudan. Number 19. This president, the last to be born in a log cabin, served in the Union Army during the Civil War until 1863, when he was elected to the U.S. House. When this man ran for president, he conducted the first front porch campaign at his Ohio home of Lawnfield. This Republican president tried to push for civil service reform during his short term of office, but was stymied by the stalwart faction of his party led by Roscoe Conkling. For 10 points, name this U.S. president who was shot by Charles Guiteau and died 11 weeks later, largely due to the incompetence of his doctors. And the answer is James Abram Garfield. Number 20. This instrument dates to the Renaissance period, but was so uncommon that George Handel had to import them to England from Germany in order to perform one of his compositions. This instrument's predecessor, the sackbut, had a double slide in order to play lower range scales, but lacked the lead pipe and a water key featured in this instrument. For 10 points, name this brass instrument, which typically comes in tenor and bass varieties, with a telescoping slide mechanism of 7 positions that is used to manipulate the pitch. And the answer is the trombone. Number 21. In this play, a magistrate orders his men to open a gate. However, they are overwhelmed by women with names like garlic innkeeping bread sellers and seed market porridge vegetable sellers. A character named Marine goes off stage multiple times in this play to obtain certain items before locking herself in the Acropolis. This play opens with a title character saying, quote, "There are a lot of things about us women that sadden me, considering how men see us as rascals," unquote. For 10 points, name this Aristophanes comedy in which the title